This guy is Kajino, a hero in the dark. And this girl is Nishino, a person who hates Kajino. She is an exemplary student, the daughter of a rich and beautiful family. Everyone noticed her, but Kajino didn't. Although they've been together for 3 months, Kajino can't remember Nishino's name. Today is an extremely busy day for Nishino. She didn't finish her work until late at night, but now no driver came to pick her up, walking alone in the middle of the night on a deserted street, and something happened. Nishino turned around to see a large man appear. She quickly ran away, but he had accomplices. Kajino seemed to have anticipated this and followed him here. Nishino inside was tortured by this thug. Just when she was molested by that guy, Kajino appeared on the roof with a mask. As for this big guy, he claims to be a soldier. Kajino was quite excited because he wanted to try fighting with guys like this for a long time. The two rushed in, but it seemed that Kajino's physical strength was not enough. He only had to make use of the iron rod. Kajino quickly gained the advantage. It only took the next few seconds for him to deal with this guy. He then took a knife to cut Nishino's rope and released her. Soon after, the police rushed to investigate, but her father paid money to keep this story from spreading. The next morning, she still went to school like every other day, but this time Kajino read her name correctly. Before being surprised, the next day Kajino was hit by a truck. After his death, Kajino realized that it was impossible to become a hero with martial arts skills and strength training. Because of that, he was reincarnated into another world. He was born into a noble family in the countryside, and what made Kajino extremely excited was that this world had magic power. When he was 13 years old, he always pretended to be weak and assumed that his sister was the strongest. But at night, he was a different person. With a black suit and a talent for mana manipulation, he defeated all the bandits. The leader seemed stronger than the others but was still defeated by Kajino. After handling it, he would clean up these gold coins to divide them up among the poor, but today he discovered a monster. Looks like this thing has been cursed. Since then, Kajino has been testing all kinds of magic on the monster day and night. One day, the monster turned into a beautiful girl. He decided to pretend to create a story to trick this girl and willingly invite this girl into his organization. She will be the first member named Alpha. 3 years later, he still practices with his sister every morning as usual. His organization also increased from 1 to 7 members with girls. In the meeting, Kajino points to the enemy base area. That very night, he and everyone went to save his sister, and she was being beaten by the white-haired guy. The white-haired guy was hit back by Alpha. He took medicine to have the strength to run away. Kajino now lost his way, but thanks to that, he saw the oligarch running towards him. Kajino saw this and decided to teach this guy a lesson. He unleashes his power, but is no match for Kajino. The mission was successful and the sister returned home safely. The next morning, his sister boarded the bus to the Magic Academy to enroll, and Kajino was about to leave the members of his organization. The reason was because they had to split up to collect information everywhere of the Diabo organization. Sitting on the train, he thought about the scene of running out to commit suicide before. Currently, Kajino has set foot in the royal capital, where his older sister is studying. Thanks to the Kajino family, he got into the so-called most prestigious school. As usual, he and 2 friends boarded the train to go to school. They made an offer. Whoever comes in last will have to confess to the famous Princess Alexia in the academy. Kajino had a plan for this princess to reject him. In the evening, he invited her to a deserted place with 2 friends. They hid behind the observer. Kajino acted like a fool confessing to the princess. Thought she would be rejected, but the princess agreed to this confession. The next day during dinner, she sat next to him, surprising everyone. He even got from the bottom class to the top of the academy thanks to the princess. During class, he and the princess were placed in a fencing group. What was even more surprising was that he learned that the reason the princess accepted his confession was because of this teacher. Zenon is both the teacher and the future fiancé of the princess, so she wants to marry him to cancel this engagement. She recounted how she learned that two of his friends had forced him to confess to the princess. Seeing that he was still adamant, she handed out a gold coin. He agreed to do what the princess asked. A few days later, the two walked around the academy, but the teacher still seemed to take this as a joke and didn't care. Two people in the car criticized each other. The next morning, Kajino and two friends went to school when the road was blocked. The princess didn't come home yesterday. Kajino was the first suspect. The princess is now locked in a cage, next to a monster. Then a madman likes to take her blood for experiments. On the Kajino side, he was brutally tortured. Kajino pretends to be in pain and fear. A few days later, the princess was tortured to the point of fatigue, and could no longer keep her composure. As for Kajino, he was released, but still being watched by the knights. Seeing Alpha passing by, he immediately went home to meet her. Alpha reported something and then started to show concern for him. Before leaving, she expressed her desire to kill the two men who had questioned him. But he missed it. He used the money to buy items to look like a lord. It was dark. Beta came to report to the leader about the upcoming plan and prepared to execute the plan. Downstairs, the two guys from before came to accuse the princess of kidnapping. He took care of them all. The leader here knew that Kajino had acted, so he injected the monster next to him with some kind of substance. The mad fairy was immediately killed by the monster. The princess took the opportunity and escaped. After removing the two handcuffs, she looked for a way out. She met Zenon waiting for her. She rushed to fight him but was not his opponent. Kajino walked over. While the two sides were preparing to fight, the monster on this side was ravaging the kingdom. The knights were no match for the monster. But Iris alone, with swordsmanship and immense power. She slashed the monster, but seeing that it could heal on its own, she decided to fight to the end. Alpha appears, she deals a fatal blow, causing the monster to be destroyed. On Kajino's side he was also fighting Zenon. Although his magic power is quite strong, it is not the opponent of Kajino. Unable to fight back, Zenon takes a potion to increase his strength. Kajino decided this name knew what it was like to call strength. He created a barrier around and with a huge amount of magic power, Kajino slashed with an explosion that created a terrifying explosion. Then Iris ran to pick her up. The next morning, when she asked Kajino to come and wanted to do a couple with him a little more to find out. Of course Kajino refused. The princess cut him off. Kajino, who was covered in blood, was about to return home but accidentally ran into a beautiful pink-haired girl,